See if I can hold this thing right. I got me a new contraption here. Alright, so I got a big build coming up. I've been shooting it over the last week. Man, it's a lot of footage. But it's basically this lawyer's bookshelf. I'm going to take them and put them together. And thinking about making the video into a two-parter. I know that some people don't like two-parters, but what I'll probably do is I'll release this one maybe in a week or two. And then I'll give it a couple of videos, and then I'll probably, when I get the whole thing done and filmed, I'll release the other one, the other video, showing the doors and, you know, the finish and all that jazz. But anyway, a lot of people didn't know that I have a upstairs to my shop, and I wanted to show that off just because I thought it was really cool. I live in a house that's like 100 and something years old. I think the garage was built maybe 40s, something like that. I don't know, but let's go take a look at the upstairs. See, on my new contraption, what? I got a light. Look, this is where my dust collection and air compressor and shop vac, everything comes in. It's a hot mess back here. Hot mess. I gotta get some more. Oh God. You see what I'm saying? It's jank, man. Jank. That makes a, look at that. That makes a huge difference. Some old National Geographics. Uh-oh, it's in intense mode. What is, we might not need a light. What is that? What is that? I think I know just what I'll do with you. Let's go back downstairs. Well, I got you up here. This is a box that I got from my dad when he passed away. But he was into credit cards. So I've got so many of these that I want to try to figure out something to do with. If anybody's got a cool idea, let me know. Put it in the comments below. All these cards are dead, so don't try to do something with it. I mean, they're all ancient. But just, if anybody can think of something cool, maybe make a clock and put these around them, like in a fan pattern with some epoxy. I don't know. Epoxy's really expensive. So now that we got you back downstairs, alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to refinish the top and the bottom of this cutting board. We're going to dress it up. We're going to bring some of that grainage that's down below, some of this nasty grainage. We're going to bring that all back to the surface. And then we're going to seal it with some mineral oil. Mineral oil lasts anywhere, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, depending on how heavy you wash it. It's really easy to re-put back on. You just pour it, take your hand, wipe it, let it soak in, take a paper towel, and buff it on out. But what we're going to need is, of course, our cutting board. Almost said sanding board. We need our cutting board. We're going to need some various grits of sandpaper. We're going to need some 120 grit sandy paper. Whoa, God. Then we're going to use some, I'm not going to do 80 or anything like that. I'm going to go straight to 180. Straight to 180. Get it? Because instead of 360, it's a 180, and I only moved it around halfway. Alright. Then we're going to go to some 220. There's a little Gator shout out. If anybody from Gators out there. Then we're going to use some 320. I only got 2 of these because they clog up and you don't want it to be too much. But just enough. Just enough. That's all we need. Just enough. Alright. So what we're going to do is use the orbital sander on the top and on the bottom. If you don't have an orbital sandpaper, you can use your hands with regular sandpaper. There's a trick where you can take a razor blade and put it on an end of a piece of wood and kind of drag it across. I saw Jimmy DeResta do that if you don't have sandpaper. So don't let it stop you to try to refinish something. Try to find something. This stuff's pretty cheap. I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty cheap. It's different prices everywhere. So let's get our orbital sander. Let's get to orbiting, and then we'll get to sanding, and then we'll get this nice and finished up and ready to go. So let me go and get that stuff down. And I'm going to tell you, if you're just getting off starting woodworking or any kind of DIY stuff, you need to get you a good orbital sander. I'm not sponsored by DeWalt. I'm not saying that they're the right brand to get. This is the one that I've had. I've gone through maybe 2 or 3 of these in the course of maybe 10 years. That's pretty good. I mean, I'm just a hobbyist. I don't use it every day. I don't have to have one of those $700. I'm not gonna say the name brand, but I know that they're probably really good, and there's a lot of better ones out there than the one that I have, or even that cheap one that you have. If you've got I've got a cheap one. It's the one I started off with. Then I upgraded to this. Why? Because I had a little bit of extra money and I wanted to upgrade. This would be the thing to upgrade. I'm telling you, don't get mixed up in name brands. Just get you one that works, man. So we're going to take our 180. I'm not going to go through and show you all the sanding because it's all the same. You can hook a shop back up toward just a little dusty dust. I got a fan going in the back blowing at me, and I'm right here next to the garage door that's open. A lot of times you don't see me wear a face mask. I know I probably should, but I've got fans blowing at me at all times, and I've got an air purifier going in the shop. So let's get to sanding. Maybe we'll do like a little sand montage. We're going to do a sandy montage. All right, let's do it. Sand noises. Just want to show you the difference. I'm sure you can see it. Let me get this light better. I've been hitting it with my hat. So you can already see this is the unsanded side. This is the sanded side. I'm not trying to get down deep, man. All I'm trying to do is get all this jankety-jank off the surface. When I first started off using a sander, I had a hard time. I didn't know how much pressure or anything like that. You've got a good feel. Once that thing gets to going, you'll know when it's really eating up some sawdust. Don't push down too hard, because what you'll do is you'll get pits like right there in the edge of your sander. Like if I were to stay edged up right there and I've got it tilted like this is my work surface and I got it tilted, I want to do that so often, but what that does is it pits your material. You're using the same spot on here, friction creates heat, and you're going to melt some of it. So just make sure that you don't have too much pressure. You know, let it do its thing, just like a saw. Let a saw blade chop through the wood. Don't push through it. Let the saw, let the tool, let everything do what it's supposed to do. That's the safest way to do it. I've learned very much the hard way. So I'm not saying that I haven't made mistakes. I've made several. I'm self-taught at this. But you know what? When you make the mistakes, that's how you really learn. You can have somebody pointing and telling you, saying, do this, do that. But man, oh man, when you make a mistake, that's when I learn the most. So do not be afraid of making mistakes. They got sandpaper for that. They got paint. They got caulk. They got wood filler. They got epoxy. They got everything to make sure that that mistake, you can learn from it and go on to the next part of your project. Don't let the little details get you into a fuss. Go ahead and do everything you can do. That way, what you can't do won't be so hard. Remember that? Let's get sanded. Don't be afraid to swap them out. I'm not using an 80 grit because I don't want to gnarl it up, so I know that I'm going to use several of the 180s and probably even the 220s. So just, you know, don't hate, throw it away, man. Get you a new one. I'll save half of that for the other side. I'll move on to the 220. $320. And the reasoning behind the different grits is that if I were to start with an 80 grit, that's going to leave, you know, I'm going to be able to feel and visually see those scratches that 80 grit gave me. Then I'm going to want to move on to maybe 100 or 120. That is to only get rid of the scratches that the 80 grit left. Then I'll move on to the 120. 120 is going to be softer because I'm getting rid of all the scratches that the 180 left, so on and so forth. So that's why you always see a bunch of different grits of sandpaper, because you want to be able to get rid of the scratches that you just left from the previous sanding. Alright, then what I'm going to do, now that I've got this surface nice and freshly clean, I mean, look at that. That thing really, it came pretty quick. I mean, I've only been sanding it maybe 5 minutes. So what I'll do now is I'm going to flip this over, but I don't want to put this nice, fresh, sanded surface on my workbench, because my workbench top, it's never clean. I might have an embedded nail or something like that that's sinking underneath the surface. So what I like to do, let's move this stuff out the way. Remember, some of those are still good. Move all this jargon. Let's get you a mat. Harbor Freight sells them pretty cheap. I think you can get them, I don't know where you can get them. You can get them anywhere. But take your sanded surface, take that, flip that around, set that down. Now your sanded surface is protected, and now we can get to working, starting at that 180 on this side, working our way back at the 320. But Ryan, I hear you ask, does it matter what direction to sand it? I read an article in, I don't know, shows you how often I read. I don't know how long ago it was. But they were studying, was it an article or video? But they were showing that if you actually do it almost, not quite a 45, maybe like a 30 something against the grain, that's supposed to open them up a certain way. I go this way, and then I kind of go that way, and then I kind of do this. So you sand any way you want to. There is like the perfect way to do it, just like for everything. There's a right way, and then there's all the ways in between. As long as it gets sanded and it feels good when you're done, you're doing a good job. And now we can be done with this. Save one of your 320s, one of your 220s, one of your 180s, and now it's time to use our hand sandy paint pay. Hand sand pay. All you're really going to do with the hand stuff is you're just going to go over those edges, kind of get it loosened back up. Same thing with the end grain. And then once you got that, start with your 180. If you kind of take it like that, you know, you can really get them radiuses from where it was rounded over without really eating that up. And you do the same thing, work through your grit. I don't know if you keep it coarse, if it sucks up more. I don't know, but I know that up to 320 feels really good on the hands. You're going to do that all the way around. And now, the next step, when we come back, I'm going to do that off camera, do all that, and I'll probably put some feet on it. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see if I have some stainless steel screws. That's important. You got to use stainless steel. This is around moisture, water, soap. You see what happens when they dry, they'll start to split just a hair. I mean, that could happen for a number of reasons. Maybe the wood wasn't 100%. Maybe it got too dry, started cracking and separating a little bit. I don't know. When we come back, we'll apply the finish, and I'll wash my hands beforehand. I always keep the cleanest hands. So let's go do that. I'll see you when I get back. All right, now I reckon it's time to put some mineral oils on there. And I don't know, I got a gallon of this stuff on the old Amazon, maybe 20 bucks. I finished a heap of cutting boards with them. Get these pretty cheap any hardware store, or a lot of times before I found these, I used to just put 4 nails or even 3 nails into my workbench. That way I can set the stuff down. Oh, look at that. And we'll bring you in close for a dramatic action shot of the mineral oil going on. Like I said, just use your hand. Let this stuff really soak it up, man. Don't be afraid to put a bunch on there. Kind of take it, you're just moving it around. Trying to massage the oil down into the grains to seal it. Because you want to protect your surface from the air, and the environments, from dirt. But just really let that stuff soak in there before you go and try to rinse it or wipe it down. I just like using these blue guys. They do pretty good. What I'll let it do, now that we're nice and dramatic sized, up close, kind of bring you up close like this, or up like this. Look at all these different shots we can do. Look at all that. Ooh! Sorry if it runs off the sides. Really let it sit down there and get its stuff going. And what I'll do with a lot of this excess that I know is not going to really want to come off, and take it, push it down to one side, and then let all that excess really get. Let's show you that. Let it really seep down, so you can take it and get a lot of it to come to the edge that's already on there. See, like that. Just use your hand, and all that stuff that's falling down, all I'm doing is just refinishing my tabletop or my worktop. Get the sides like that real good. And just kind of buff it in. Just like that. I'll bring you up top again. Whoa, goodness gracious. See, now look how much that stuff seeped in through all those cracks. Just be generous with it. I'm not gonna hurt nothing. If you got too much on there, it'll just seep through to the other side. It'll penetrate a little bit more. I'd probably do 2-3 coats of this, just like what we're doing. And then when you're done with that, kind of give it a buff with the paper towel. Oh man, this turned out great. I'm really happy. Really, really happy. Hoppa, hoppa, hoppa. So that's really it. I'll get some good shots of it once it's all dried up, and I'll put several coats on it. But that's it. It's super easy. If you don't have the power tools, again, there are crazy amounts of way that you could have done this. It doesn't have to be done the way I did it. That's just the way that I do it. So if you like the video, let me know in the comments below. I'll put some shots of it all dried up and stuff like that. Yeah, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell. I'm Ryan, Maker 238. I try to be all over the place with my videos, so I don't really do a certain kind. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.